Haven Station floated in the darkness like a silver flower. 3 million people called it home. Jiwoo Park stood at the observation deck and watched the stars. Her daughter Mina pressed her small hands against the glass. "Mom, why don't we have big weapons like the other aliens?" Mina asked. Jiwoo smiled and touched her daughter's hair. "Because we choose to build things, not destroy them. We talk to people instead of fighting them. But what if someone bad comes? Then we talk to them too. We show them that being peaceful is better than being angry." Jiwoo believed these words. She had believed them her whole life. Her husband, Taemin, joined them. He worked in the terraforming department. "One day," he said with a laugh, "maybe the galaxy will remember that peaceful does not mean weak." They all laughed together. It was a normal day on Haven Station. People went to work. Children went to school. Families ate dinner together. Nobody knew that in 3 days everything would change forever. Far away on Earth, Admiral Dae-ho Kim sat in another boring meeting. The Galactic Council room was huge and beautiful. Representatives from 100 worlds sat in their special seats. But nobody listened when humans talked. Dae-ho stood and spoke about trade laws. He talked about protecting peaceful colonies. He asked for better security in distant space. The other aliens looked at their screens. Some laughed quietly. A big creature from the Krell Dominion made a rude sound. "The humans want security," the Krell said loudly. "Maybe they should buy stronger ships instead of crying to us." Other aliens laughed. The Vex Empire representative did not even look up. To them, humans were like children playing at being important. Weak, boring, not worth their time. Dae-ho sat down. His face stayed calm, but inside he felt tired. 300 years. For 300 years, humanity had tried to be good neighbors. They followed the rules. They traded fairly. They helped other species when they could. And still, nobody respected them. That night, Dae-ho looked at old military files. Files that most people did not know existed. Plans and weapons that humanity had built but never used. Things they had hidden away, hoping never to need them. He closed the files and went to bed. Tomorrow would be another day of trying to make peace work. On Haven Station, Dr. Young-Soo Han worked in his laboratory. He studied alien plants. He loved his work. The station was perfect for research, safe, quiet, far from any trouble. He sent a message to his sister on Earth. "Everything is wonderful here," he wrote. "I wish you could see it." The next morning, Jiwoo took Mina to school. They walked through the bright corridors. Other families waved hello. The station felt alive with happy energy. Jiwoo worked as a security officer, but it was an easy job. Haven Station had almost no crime. The biggest problem was usually lost pets or arguments about noise. At lunch, Jiwoo met with other security officers. They joked about their boring jobs. "I joined security to protect people," one man said. "Instead, I spend my time helping old Mrs. Chen find her cat." Everyone laughed. They did not know that in 2 days they would all be dead. The Thane Collective watched Haven Station from far away. The Thane were warriors. They believed that strength was everything. Weak species deserved to die, and humans were the weakest species they knew. The Thane leaders made their decision. They would attack Haven Station. They would kill everyone there, and they would record everything. They would show the galaxy what happens to weak species. They would force humanity to surrender all their colonies. It would be easy. On the 3rd day, the Thane ships appeared. They came out of hyperspace without warning. Huge, dark, covered in weapons. The station alarm screamed. Jiwoo ran from her office. Her heart pounded. Where was Mina? Where was Taemin? The station's small defense ships launched. They were designed to fight pirates, not war fleets. The Thane destroyed them in seconds. Explosions lit up the darkness. Jiwoo ran faster. She needed to reach the school. Young-Soo heard the alarms in his lab. He looked at his screens and saw the Thane ships. His hands shook. This could not be happening. Haven Station was peaceful. They had no enemies. Why would anyone attack them? The Thane began their broadcast. Cameras on their ships recorded everything. They sent the signal across the entire galaxy. Billions of people on thousands of worlds could watch. The Thane wanted everyone to see. On Earth, Dae-ho was eating breakfast when his phone rang. His assistant's voice was shaking. "Sir, you need to see this now." Dae-ho turned on his screen. He saw Haven Station. He saw the Thane ships. He saw the first explosions. His coffee cup fell from his hand. It broke on the floor. He did not notice. The Thane soldiers boarded Haven Station. They moved through every corridor, every room, every home. They were not quick. They took their time. They wanted this to last. Jiwoo found Minna at the school. Her daughter was crying. Taemin arrived moments later. They held each other. Around them, other families did the same. Parents held their children. Friends held each other. Everyone knew what was coming. The Thane gathered everyone in the main plaza. 3 million people. Youngsu was there. Jiwoo and her family were there. Teachers and doctors and engineers and children. All the people who had made Haven Station their home. A Thane commander spoke. His voice was translated by machines. "You are weak," he said. "Your species is weak. Today we show the galaxy what happens to the weak. Today we teach humanity their place." The cameras recorded everything. The Thane made it personal. They called people forward one by one. They made them say their names. Made them look at the camera. Then they killed them. Slowly. Carefully. Making sure everyone on Earth and across the galaxy could see. For 3 days, the galaxy watched. The Galactic Council held emergency meetings but did nothing. The Krell Dominion stayed quiet. The Vex Empire did not respond. Smaller species looked away. Nobody helped. Nobody came. On Earth, people watched their screens and cried. Daeho did not leave his office. He watched every moment. He memorized every face, every scream, every death. His hands gripped his desk so hard his knuckles turned white. Youngsu died on day 2. He was thinking about his sister on Earth when it happened. He hoped she would remember him. Taemin died trying to protect Minna. The Thane laughed at him. Jiwoo watched her husband fall. She held her daughter tight. Minna died in her mother's arms. She was 7 years old. Her last words were, "Mom, I'm scared." The Thane beat Jiwoo until she could not move, but they did not kill her. They left her alive. One survivor. One person to carry the message back to Earth. Surrender, or this happens to every human colony. When the Thane left, Haven Station was silent. Bodies floated in the corridors. Blood covered the walls. 3 million people were gone. Jiwoo lay in the darkness and waited to die. But a rescue ship found her first. On Earth, the United Earth Assembly gathered. Every nation, every leader, every person with power. They did not debate. They did not argue. They watched the final broadcast from Haven Station one more time. Then they voted. The vote was unanimous. Daeho received his orders in the middle of the night. 3 words. Activate Protocol Ragnarok. He opened the files he had looked at just days before. The weapons. The plans. The things humanity had built and hidden away. Things they had promised themselves they would never use. That promise was broken now. Daeho sent the activation codes, all across Earth, all across the solar system, all across every human settlement in space. Factories that made civilian goods switched to making weapons. Research stations stopped their peaceful work and started making tools of war. Ships that carried supplies were refitted with armor and guns. Humanity did not announce war. They did not send threats. They did not issue warnings. They simply went dark. Every human ship stopped broadcasting. Every station went silent. Every communication with the galaxy was cut off. The Thane Collective celebrated their victory. They expected Earth to beg for mercy. They expected surrender. They expected humans to be afraid. They should have been afraid themselves, because humanity was not preparing to surrender. They were preparing to show the galaxy what they really were. For 300 years they had chosen peace. They had chosen mercy. They had chosen restraint. Those were choices. And now those choices were over. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was never their technology. It was never their numbers. It was the fact that they had spent 3 centuries holding back. Holding back anger, holding back rage, holding back the part of themselves that knew how to hurt. That part was awake now, and it was hungry. In her hospital bed on Earth, Jiwoo woke up. Doctors told her she was the only survivor. She asked them one question, "Can I fight?" The military came to her room the next day. They offered her retirement, therapy, a peaceful life. She looked at them with eyes that had seen her family die. "I want to kill every Thane in the galaxy," she said. "Can you help me do that?" They could. They did. Across human space, billions of people prepared for war. They did not do it with anger on their faces. They did it quietly, calmly, with the cold focus of a species that had finally decided to stop being nice. The Thane had wanted to teach humanity fear. Instead, they had removed the one thing that kept humanity peaceful. They had killed the last bit of innocence. They had shown humans that being good meant nothing if evil people did not care. The Galactic Council chamber was full of confused voices. Representatives from every major species talked over each other. Nobody understood what was happening. The humans have gone silent, a Vex delegate said. All their communications are offline. Every ship, every station, nothing. The Krell representative laughed. They are hiding in fear. The Thane showed them their place. Soon they will beg for mercy. But Ambassador Hana Lee had already left the council. She was on a ship heading back to Earth. The recall message had been clear. All human diplomats were ordered home immediately. No exceptions. As her ship traveled through space, Hana saw something that made her blood run cold. Human ships were everywhere, but these were not the trading vessels she knew. These were warships. Big ones, dark ones. Ships that looked like they were built to kill. They did not respond to her hails. They just moved past her, heading toward the outer systems. Heading toward Thane space. There were hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Where did these ships come from? Hana had worked in diplomacy for 20 years. She thought she knew everything about human military forces, but she had never seen ships like these. Never even heard of them. On Earth, Admiral Dae-Ho Kim stood in a war room deep underground. Around him, generals and admirals from every human nation gathered. For the first time in 300 years, all of humanity was united in one purpose: war. The Thane have 14 colonized systems, Dae-Ho said, pointing at a holographic map. 4 major military bases, 200 capital ships, 3 billion population. He paused. We will remove all of it, a general spoke up. Sir, the Galactic Council will demand we follow the rules of war. They will want us to accept Thane's surrender if offered. Dae-Ho's face was stone. The Thane did not follow rules when they killed Haven Station. We will not follow rules now. There will be no surrender, no mercy. We will fight until every Thane is dead or we are. Nobody argued. They all had watched the broadcasts. They all had seen what happened to 3 million innocent people. Rules were for civilized species. The Thane had shown they were not civilized. We have weapons they do not know about, Dae-Ho continued. For 300 years we built these weapons and kept them secret. We hoped we would never need them. That hope is dead now. He showed them the weapons, ships that could move through space without leaving traces, missiles that traveled near the speed of light, automated systems that could think and fight on their own. Weapons designed not for defense but for total destruction. We spent 3 centuries being peaceful, Dae-Ho said. The galaxy thought that made us weak. They were wrong. We were restraining ourselves. Now that restraint is gone. In a military hospital, Jiwoo Park recovered from her injuries. Her body healed, but her mind would never heal. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her daughter's face, heard her daughter's last words, felt her daughter die in her arms. Military officers came to visit her. They wore black uniforms without names or ranks. We have a special unit, one of them said. Go Squadron. We operate outside normal command, outside normal rules. We do things others cannot do. What kind of things? Jiwoo asked. We hunt Thane, we kill them. We make sure they understand what they did. The officer leaned forward. We want you to lead us. Jiwoo did not hesitate. When do I start? Today. They gave her files. Locations of Thane bases, names of Thane commanders, details of their military structure. Learn this. Memorize it. Then we begin. Jiwoo read through the night. She learned where the Thane leaders lived, where they sent their children to school, where their families gathered. She memorized every detail. Not for mercy. For revenge, Dr. Young-Soo Han was alive. The other Young-Soo, the one on Haven Station, had been his cousin. Now Young-Soo worked in a secret facility. They had brought him to a place called the Vault. What he saw there terrified him. Weapons. So many weapons. Weapons that could destroy planets. Weapons that could kill billions. Weapons that humanity had built during their early space expansion, then locked away hoping they would rust and be forgotten. Why did we build these? Young-Soo asked the military scientist showing him around. Because we are human, the scientist said. We prepare for everything. We hope for peace but prepare for war, always. But these are terrible. These are weapons of genocide. Yes. and now we will use them. The scientist looked tired. The Thane committed genocide first. We are responding in kind. Young-Soo felt sick, but he also felt anger. His cousin was dead. 3 million people were dead. Maybe terrible weapons were needed for terrible enemies. Lieutenant Hyun-Woo Choi was fresh from the academy. He had graduated just 2 weeks before Haven Station died. He had trained to be a fighter pilot, expecting to patrol quiet space and maybe chase some pirates. Instead, he was assigned to a combat wing heading straight into war. His ship was new. It did not have a name, just a number. The weapon systems were like nothing he had learned about in school. Everything was faster, stronger, more lethal than the training simulators. These ships are experimental, his commander told the squadron. We built them in secret. The galaxy does not know they exist. When they see us in battle, they will learn what human engineering can really do. Hyun-Woo felt excited and afraid at the same time. This was real. He was going to war. People would try to kill him. He would try to kill them. It was nothing like the academy. The squadron launched into space. They joined hundreds of other ships, then thousands. The human fleet was massive. Hyun-Woo had never imagined humanity had so many warships. They traveled for days. Then the order came. Thane Scout Force detected. Engage and destroy. Leave one ship alive to report back. Hyun-Woo's hands shook on the controls. This was it. His first battle. The Thane ships appeared on his screen. 12 of them. They looked confident, moving in formation like they expected an easy fight. The battle lasted 4 minutes. The Thane ships tried to fight back, but they were too slow. Human ships moved like they were dancing, dodging every shot while their own weapons hit perfectly. One by one, the Thane ships exploded. Hyun-Woo destroyed 2 ships himself. He watched them break apart, saw the explosions, knew that people inside were dying. He felt nothing. Maybe he should feel guilty. Maybe he should feel bad. But all he could think about was Min-Ah Park, the 7-year-old girl who died on Haven Station. All he could think about was 3 million people who never got to fight back. One Thane ship tried to run. The commander let it go. Follow it, the commander ordered. Make sure it gets home. We want the Thane to know we are coming. We want them to be afraid. The Thane ship jumped to hyperspace. It would reach Thane territory in a few days. It would tell them about the human attack. It would tell them how easily the human ships had won, and the Thane would start to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. Back on the Galactic Council station, species were starting to worry. Human silence was not normal. The massive movement of ships was not normal. Ambassador Hana finally arrived back on Earth and immediately received orders to return to the Council. Before she left, she met with Daeho. What do I tell them? She asked. Tell them the truth, Daeho said. Tell them humanity is at war. Tell them we will not stop until the Thane are extinct. And tell them that every species that stood by and did nothing while Haven Station died should remember this moment. They will be afraid of us and good. Fear means they will not make the same mistake the Thane made. Hana returned to the Council. The chamber was tense. Everyone wanted to know what the humans were doing. She stood at the human podium and looked at all the alien faces. Faces that had laughed at humans. Faces that had done nothing to help. Humanity is at war with the Thane Collective, she said. Her voice was calm and cold. We will prosecute this war until the Thane species no longer exists. We will not accept surrender. We will not negotiate. We will not stop. The chamber exploded with noise. Aliens shouted and argued. The Vex delegate demanded that humans follow the rules of war. The Krell delegate said this was genocide. Other species called for humans to be sanctioned. Hana waited for the noise to stop. Then she spoke again. The Thane committed genocide against Haven Station. 3 million dead. Men, women, children. You all watched. None of you helped. None of you came. You let it happen. The chamber was quiet now. So do not talk to me about rules. Do not talk to me about mercy. The Thane showed us what the galaxy really is. A place where the strong can murder the weak while everyone watches. Well, humanity is strong now, and you will all watch again. But this time you will watch what happens when someone pushes us too far. She left the chamber. Behind her, the aliens sat in silence. For the first time, they were starting to understand. The humans were not joking. This was not politics. This was real war. War that would not end until one side was completely destroyed. In Thane space, the surviving scout ship arrived. The pilot reported what he had seen. Human ships, fast ships, deadly ships. Ships that killed 11 Thane vessels in minutes. The Thane military commanders laughed at first. Then they watched the battle recordings. They stopped laughing. Orders went out across all Thane systems. Mobilize the fleets. Fortify the borders. Prepare for human attack. But even as they prepared, some Thane leaders felt something they had never felt before. Doubt, worry, fear. Maybe attacking Haven Station had been a mistake. The first major battle happened at Krasix Prime. It was a Thane military hub. 3 fleets stationed there. Defense platforms covering the entire system. The Thane felt safe. They had never lost a battle in their territory. They expected the humans to attack head-on. Traditional warfare, fleet against fleet. The Thane were confident. Their ships were bigger. Their weapons were powerful. They had been warriors for 10,000 years, but the humans did not attack head-on. The attack came from everywhere at once. Human ships appeared from 6 different directions. They moved too fast for Thane sensors to track properly. Missiles launched from outside the system, traveling at near light speed. By the time Thane crews saw them, they had already hit. Ghost Squadron infiltrated the main command station. Jiwoo Park led them personally. They moved through the ventilation systems like shadows. Her team was small, only 12 people, but they had trained for this, practiced for this, wanted this. They reached the command center without being detected. The Thane officers were focused on the space battle outside. They never saw the humans until it was too late. Jiwoo shot the first one herself. Then her team moved like machines, efficient, cold, perfect. The command station went dark. The Thane fleets lost coordination. Ships stopped communicating with each other. Defense platforms stopped working together. Suddenly the battle was not organized. It was chaos. Hyunwoo flew his fighter through the battle. Explosions lit up space around him. Thane ships tried to shoot him down, but his ship was too fast. The computer helped him dodge. His weapons never missed. He destroyed 4 Thane fighters in the first hour. But then his friend Sang-ho died. A missile hit Sang-ho's ship and it just vanished. One moment he was there talking on the radio. The next moment nothing. Just debris and fire. Hyunwoo felt cold inside. He wanted to scream. He wanted to cry. But he just kept flying. Kept shooting. Kept killing. There would be time to feel sad later. Right now there was only war. The battle lasted 6 hours. At the end, 3 Thane fleets were destroyed. The command station was captured. The defense platforms were offline. Human forces suffered minimal losses. 14 people dead, 32 wounded. The efficiency was terrifying. Admiral Daeho watched from his flagship. He saw the victory and felt nothing. No joy, no pride. Just a cold certainty that this was necessary. The Thane had started this. Humanity would finish it. Proceed to the next target, he ordered. The fleet moved on. There were 13 more Thane systems to destroy. Jiwoo and Ghost Squadron had a different mission. They were not destroying military bases. They were going to Thane Prime, the homeworld, the heart of the Thane collective. Their ship moved silently through space. It had special technology that made it invisible to sensors. They approached Thane Prime like ghosts. The planet was beautiful from space, green and blue, clouds drifting across the surface. 4 billion Thane lived there. Jiwoo felt no pity. 4 billion Thane. And not one of them had spoken against the Haven Station massacre. Not one had said it was wrong. They had all watched. Many had celebrated. They were not innocent. Ghost Squadron landed in the capital city. It was night. The streets were busy with Thane going about their lives, eating at restaurants, going to entertainment centers, living normal lives while 3 million humans were dead. The team split up. Their mission was not to kill civilians. It was to send a message. Jiwoo led her group to the Planetary Defense Headquarters. They bypassed security easily. Thane systems were good, but human hackers were better. They reached the main control room. Jiwoo placed a device on the central computer. Then she activated it. Every screen in the building showed the same image. Every screen across the entire planet showed it. The image of Haven Station. The image of 3 million people dying. A message played. Jiwoo had recorded it herself. You watched our children die. You did nothing. Now you will live knowing that we can reach you anywhere. Anytime we can touch anyone we want. But today we choose mercy. Today we only destroy your military. Tomorrow that might change. Remember this. Remember that we showed you mercy when you showed us none. Then the real attack began. Every military installation on Thane Prime was hit simultaneously. Bases exploded, weapons depots burned, military ships in orbit were destroyed, but no civilians were harmed. No homes were damaged. No schools were touched. Ghost Squadron left the planet the same way they came, invisible, silent. The Thane did not even know humans had been there until it was over. When they realized what happened, fear spread across their homeworld. Humans had walked their streets, could have killed anyone, but chose not to. That choice was more frightening than any threat. Dr. Young-Soo Han was documenting everything. He traveled with the fleet and recorded every battle, every death, every decision. Future generations needed to know what happened here. They needed to understand. After Crysis Prime, Young-Soo interviewed soldiers. They were young, most of them. Kids who had signed up to defend humanity, not to wage wars of extinction. He asked them how they felt. "I feel nothing," one soldier told him. "I know I should feel bad, but every time I try to feel guilty, I remember Minna Park, that 7-year-old girl. I remember her mother had to watch her die. Then I do not feel guilty anymore," Young-Soo understood. He felt the same way. His cousin had died on Haven Station. A good man who studied plants and hurt no one. The Thane killed him for entertainment. How could anyone feel guilty about fighting back? But he also worried. What happened to a species that stopped feeling guilt? What happened when killing became easy? These were questions he could not answer yet. The war continued. Battle after battle. System after system. Human forces moved like a storm through Thane space. They were unstoppable. The Thane tried everything. They ambushed human supply lines. They called in allies. They threw everything they had at the human fleet. Nothing worked. Human ships were too fast. Human tactics were too clever. Human soldiers were too determined. And human commanders like Daeho were too skilled. The Thane Collective was collapsing. Their empire shrank every day. Refugees fled from system to system looking for safety. But there was no safety. The humans were everywhere. The Galactic Council called emergency sessions. Species demanded that humans stop. They called it genocide. They called it a war crime. They threatened sanctions and military intervention. Ambassador Hana listened to all their words. Then she spoke calmly. Where were these concerns when the Thane killed Haven Station? Where were your sanctions then? Where was your military intervention when 3 million humans died? No one had answers. The chamber was silent. Hana continued. You are upset now because humans are winning. Because we are strong. If we were losing, you would not care. You would watch us die just like you watched Haven Station die. So forgive us if we do not care what you think. The Vex Empire threatened to send their fleet to help the Thane. Hana looked at the Vex ambassador with cold eyes. Send your fleet. Add yourselves to our list. We will deal with you after the Thane are gone. Or you can stay out of this and learn from the Thane's mistake. The Vex did not send their fleet. In space, Hyunwoo and his squadron were ordered to hold a strategic position, a narrow passage between two star systems. If the Thane could break through here, they could reach their last major base. The human commanders wanted to stop them. The Thane came with everything they had left. 50 capital ships, hundreds of fighters, thousands of missiles. They needed to break through. This was their last chance. Hyunwoo's squadron was outnumbered 10-1. The battle was brutal. Ships exploded all around him. The radio was full of screams and warnings. His instruments showed missiles everywhere. Death was coming from every direction. He shot down 6 Thane fighters. Then 7. Then 8. His ship took damage. Warnings flashed on his screen. His left engine was failing. His shields were gone. One more hit would kill him. A Thane missile locked onto him. He tried to dodge, but his damaged ship was too slow. The missile was coming. He was going to die. He thought about his family, his friends, Sang-ho, who had died in battle weeks ago. At least they would be together soon. Then another human ship flew between him and the missile. It took the hit meant for him. The ship exploded. The pilot inside died to save him. Hyunwoo screamed. He pushed his damaged ship forward and destroyed the Thane fighter that launched the missile. Then another. Then another. He fought like a man who no longer cared about surviving. He fought to make the Thane pay for every human death. Reinforcements arrived. Fresh human ships jumped into the battle. The Thane were pushed back. Their fleet broke apart, they ran, but the humans chased them, destroyed them. Only a few Thane ships escaped. Hyun-woo's ship was barely flying. He limped back to the carrier. When they pulled him out of the cockpit, he could not stop shaking. He had killed 12 Thane today, 12 kills. But his squadron had started with 20 pilots. Now only 6 were left. The victory had cost 14 lives. That night, Hyun-woo could not sleep. He kept thinking about the pilot who died to save him. He did not even know her name. He went to the memorial wall and found her photo. Lieutenant Seo-jin. She was 23 years old, 2 years younger than him, dead to save his life. He touched her photo and made a promise. He would survive this war. He would live for all the people who died. The message came from the Morgue Concordat. They were a neutral federation. They had stayed out of galactic politics for centuries, but now they were offering to help. They wanted to mediate peace talks between humanity and the Thane. Ambassador Hana read the proposal. The Thane leadership was willing to surrender. Unconditional surrender. They would accept war crimes trials. They would allow occupation. They would pay reparations. They would do anything if humanity would just stop the war. It was everything a victor could ask for. Total submission. Complete victory. The galaxy would see that humanity had won. That justice had been served. This was the civilized way to end a war. Hana brought the proposal to Earth. The United Earth Assembly gathered to vote. Every leader, every representative. The debate lasted 10 minutes. The vote was unanimous. The answer was no. Hana returned to the Galactic Council with Earth's response. The chamber was full. Everyone wanted to hear. They expected humanity to accept the surrender, to show mercy, to be the bigger species. Hana stood at the podium. She spoke clearly. The Thane Collective has offered unconditional surrender. Earth has rejected this offer. The war will continue until the Thane species no longer exists. There will be no trials, no occupation, no reconstruction, only extinction. The chamber exploded. Aliens shouted. Some called humans monsters. Some called it genocide. The Vex delegate demanded the council intervene with force. The Krell delegate said humanity had gone too far. Hana waited for silence. Then she spoke again. The Thane did not offer surrender when they attacked Haven Station. They did not show mercy when they killed 3 million civilians. They recorded those deaths and broadcast them for entertainment. They wanted the galaxy to watch. We all watched. Now you watch again as we show you what happens when you cross that line. This is not justice, the Vex delegate shouted. This is revenge. Maybe it is both, Hana said calmly. Maybe justice and revenge are the same thing when the crime is big enough. The Thane chose genocide. We respond with extinction. That is fair. The council must stop this, another delegate said. Send peacekeepers. Enforce a ceasefire. Hana looked at them all. Every alien face that had laughed at humans. Every government that had done nothing. Send your peacekeepers. Send your fleets. Add yourselves to the war if you want. But know this. If you attack human forces, we will consider it an act of war. And we will respond the same way we are responding to the Thane. Choose carefully. Nobody volunteered. The chamber was quiet. Fear had replaced anger. The aliens were finally understanding. Humanity was not bluffing. They would fight anyone who interfered, and they would win. On the human flagship, Admiral Daeho received new orders. Earth wanted him to stand down, to accept the Thane's surrender. Political pressure was building. The military leadership thought it was time to end this. But Daeho also received a different message. A secret message from the President of Earth. It said simply, finish the mission. History will judge me, not you. Daeho understood. Officially, Earth wanted mercy. Unofficially, they wanted the Thane dead. He would carry out the real orders. He would take the blame if blame came. That was what commanders did. They made the hard choices so others did not have to. Jiwoo and Ghost Squadron were hunting the last Thane leaders. They had tracked them to a hidden base in the asteroid belt of the last Thane system. The leaders thought they were safe there, thought humanity could not find them. They were wrong. Jiwoo led the assault personally. Her team moved through the asteroid base like they had done this 100 times before, because they were the best at what they did. And what they did was kill Thane. They found the Thane High Command in a secure bunker. 5 leaders. The ones who had ordered the Haven Station attack. The ones who had approved the broadcast. the ones who had wanted humanity to suffer. One of them tried to speak. "We surrender. We will face trial, please," Jiwoo shot him. Then the others. One by one, quick, efficient, she felt nothing. Her daughter's face flashed in her mind. Minna asking why humans did not have big weapons. Minna, who would never grow up. Never have her own children. Never see another sunset. The Thane leaders died. No trial, no justice. Just death. Jiwoo left their bodies there and led her team out. Orders had come for her to stop. To bring the leaders in alive. She ignored those orders. She had made a promise to her daughter. Every Thane would pay. When she returned to the fleet, military police were waiting. She was arrested for refusing orders, for executing prisoners, for murder. She did not resist. She walked to her cell calmly, but she did not stay there long. Within hours, Ghost Squadron broke her out, not just her team. Hundreds of soldiers, veterans who had fought at Krasik's prime, pilots who had lost friends, Marines who had seen too much. They all refused to let Jiwoo be punished for doing what needed to be done. They resigned their commissions. All of them. They became civilians, but they did not stop hunting Thane. They would finish this war themselves if they had to. Admiral Daeho faced an impossible choice. Court-martial the heroes of the war, or accept that the military had lost control. He chose neither. He simply looked the other way. Let Jiwoo and her followers do what they were going to do anyway. Officially, he knew nothing. Unofficially, he wished them luck. The final battle came at the last Thane stronghold. A massive space station orbiting a dead star. Thousands of Thane soldiers and civilians were there. Their last refuge. Their last hope. Hyunwoo and his squadron were part of the assault force. He was a veteran now. Had fought in a dozen battles. Killed more enemies than he could count. His hands did not shake anymore. His eyes were cold. War had changed him. The Thane fought desperately. This was their last stand. They knew they were going to die. They fought not for victory but for meaning, for honor, for the right to say they did not surrender. The battle was savage. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes. The station's guns fired until they melted. Thane fighters crashed into human ships in suicide attacks. They would not win, but they would hurt the humans as much as possible. Hyunwoo's squadron suffered terrible losses. His wingmate was killed by a suicide attack. 2 other pilots died when their ships were destroyed by the station's guns. The squadron that had started with 20 pilots was down to 3, but they kept fighting, kept pushing forward, because stopping meant their dead friends had died for nothing. They had to finish this. Hyunwoo shot down his last Thane fighter. Then the station's shields fell. Human troops boarded. The ground fighting was brutal. Hand to hand, room to room. The Thane would not surrender. They fought to the last person. When it was over, Hyunwoo floated in space. His ship was heavily damaged. He waited for recovery ships and looked at the battlefield. Thousands of pieces of debris, frozen bodies, the wreckage of hundreds of ships. So much death, so much destruction. He found a Thane pilot's body drifting nearby. The pilot's helmet was cracked. Through it, Hyunwoo could see the Thane's face. It looked young, maybe the same age as him. In the pilot's hand was a small device. A personal data pad. Hyunwoo retrieved it. He did not know why. Maybe curiosity, maybe guilt. He took it back to his carrier and accessed the files. Photos, messages, family videos. The Thane pilot had children. 2 of them. Little ones. They would never see their parent again. Hyunwoo felt sick. He had killed this person, taken someone's parent away, made those children orphans. The Thane pilot was just doing what any parent would do, fighting to protect their family. But then he remembered Haven Station. Remembered that Thane had made millions of human children orphans. Had killed parents in front of their children. This Thane pilot might have been a good parent, but they were part of a species that had chosen genocide. The moral complexity made his head hurt. He did not know if he was right or wrong anymore. He just knew it was done. The battle was over. The war was ending. The Thane were extinct. Dr. Young-Soo Han compiled his final reports. The war had lasted 18 months. 3 billion Thane were dead. The Thane collective no longer existed. Their worlds were empty. Their cities were ruins. A species that had existed for thousands of years was gone. Human casualties were relatively light. 200,000 military deaths, 0 civilian deaths after Haven Station. The efficiency of the killing had been remarkable. Terrifying. Humanity had shown the galaxy what industrial warfare looked like when prosecuted without mercy or restraint. Young-Soo wrote his conclusion. Were we right? That was the question history would ask. The question humans would debate forever. The Thane had committed genocide. Humanity had responded with extinction. Was that justice or was it revenge? Was it necessary or was it excessive? He had no answer. He just had facts. Numbers. Data. Future. Generations would have to decide if those numbers meant humanity was right or if they meant humanity had become monsters. Admiral Daeho stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the last Thane station burn. It was over. He had won. Humanity had won. But the victory felt hollow. Empty. He had killed billions to avenge millions. Was that the right ratio? Was there any right ratio? He thought about retirement. Going home. Trying to live a normal life. But he knew he never could. The ghosts would follow him. The faces of the dead, both human and Thane. He would carry them forever. But at least no other humans would die like Haven Station died. 1 year after the war ended, Earth held a memorial service. Every human colony, every station, every ship, all of humanity stopped for 1 day to remember. Admiral Daeho Kim stood at the Haven Station Memorial. 3 million names were carved into black stone. It stretched for miles. He walked slowly, reading the names. Park Min-ah, age 7. Park Taemin, age 35. Dr. Han Young-Soo, age 42. Name after name, life after life. People called him a hero. Students studied his tactics in military schools. Other species feared and respected him. But standing here looking at these names, he felt like a failure. He had not saved them. He had only avenged them. Was that enough? A young woman approached him. She wore civilian clothes but walked like a soldier. Admiral, I wanted to thank you. For what? Daeho asked. My brother died here. He was 12 years old. You made sure the people who killed him paid for it. You made sure the galaxy knows never to do this again. Thank you for that. She walked away before he could respond. Daeho looked back at the names. Maybe that was the answer. Maybe saving them was impossible. Maybe all he could do was make sure it never happened again. If that was enough to protect future humans, then perhaps the price was worth it. Perhaps Jiwoo Park also came to the memorial. She came alone. She found her daughter's name and touched it gently. Min-ah Park, age 7. Loved stories about space explorers. Wanted to be a scientist when she grew up. She never got the chance. Jiwoo had received many offers after the war. Military positions, security jobs, book deals. Everyone wanted the hero of Ghost Squadron, the woman who had killed more Thane than anyone else. The survivor who became a warrior. She rejected all the offers. Instead, she joined Dr. Young-Soo Han's project, the Historical Accountability Project. They were documenting everything. Every battle, every decision, every death. Future generations needed to know what happened. Needed to understand the cost. Jiwoo's job was head of security. But really, she was there to tell her story. To make sure people remembered Haven Station. Remembered why the war happened. Remembered that peace required strength. She would never forget Min-ah's last words. Mom, I'm scared. Those words drove everything Jiwoo did now. She would make sure no other human child ever had to be that scared again. Colonel Hyun-woo Choi taught at the Interstellar Defense Academy now. He was only 25 years old but had fought in more battles than most career soldiers. The war had aged him, given him experiences that most people never had. His students were the new generation. Kids who grew up hearing about the Thane War, who knew humanity as strong and feared. They did not remember when humans were the galaxy's joke. They only knew victory. Sir, was the war worth it? A student asked one day. Hyun-woo thought about it. About Sang-ho, his friend who died in the first battle. About Lieutenant Seo-jin, who died saving his life. About the Thane pilot whose children became orphans. About all the death on both sides. I do not know if it was worth it, he said honestly. I know it was necessary. The Thane gave us no choice. But worth it? That is something each of you will have to decide. But we won. We are safe now. Yes, we won. We are safe. But we paid a price for that safety. Not just in lives. In innocence. In our souls. We became something we never wanted to be. Warriors, killers. a species that solves problems with extinction. He took them to the memorial, made them read the names, made them understand that each name was a person, a life, a future stolen. Never forget this, he told them. Never forget what we are protecting, and never forget what we became to protect it. Dr. Young-Soo Han published his book, The Price of Fear, Humanity's War and the Galactic Response. It became required reading in schools across human space. Other species translated it. Some called it propaganda. Others called it truth. Nobody could ignore it. The book did not take sides. It just presented facts. What the Thane did, how humanity responded, what it cost, what it achieved. Young-Soo let readers make their own judgments, but he included one personal note at the end. A question he could not answer. Were we right? He had struggled with this for 2 years. Watched humanity transform from peaceful traders to feared warriors. Seen 3 billion Thane die to avenge 3 million humans. His conclusion was simple. History had no answer yet. Maybe it never would. All he knew was that since Haven Station, not a single human civilian had been harmed by alien action. Piracy against human ships had stopped completely. Species that once dismissed humanity now sought their protection. The galaxy was safer for everyone, but that safety was bought with extinction, with genocide, with the complete erasure of a species. Was that trade fair? Young-Soo did not know. He just knew humanity would live with that question forever. Ambassador Hana Lee gave a speech at the Galactic Council. It was the anniversary of the war's end. Every species sent representatives. The chamber was full. Everyone wanted to hear what humanity would say now that the anger had cooled. Hana stood at the podium. She looked different now, harder. The war had changed her too. She had seen humanity transform, had delivered the threats, had watched the galaxy shrink back in fear. 1 year ago, the Thane Collective ceased to exist, she began. Humanity waged total war and achieved total victory. We do not apologize for this. The Thane committed genocide. We responded in kind. That is simple justice. The chamber was silent. Every alien listened carefully. Hana continued. But we also understand that our response has changed the galactic order. Species fear us now. You worry that we might turn our weapons on you, that any conflict with humanity might end in extinction. Let me be clear. We do not seek war. We do not want enemies. We want what we always wanted: peace, trade, cooperation. But we will never again be victims. We will never again watch our people die while the galaxy does nothing. So here is our position for this new era. Respect humanity. Protect human lives. Follow the basic rules of civilization. Do these things, and we will be your friends, your allies, your partners. But attack us. Kill our people. Treat us as prey, and we will show you what happened to the Thane. She paused. Let the words sink in. Then she delivered the final message. You do not need to love us. You do not need to trust us. You just need to remember Haven Station. Remember the Thane. Remember that we gave the galaxy 300 years of patience and mercy. We tried peace. You showed us it does not work. So now we offer something different. Not friendship. Not love, just fear. The knowledge that harming humanity comes with a price too high to pay. We hope that is enough. We hope fear will keep the peace where kindness could not. And we pray that we never have to teach this lesson again. She left the podium. The chamber remained silent. Nobody applauded. Nobody protested. They just sat there thinking about her words, thinking about what humanity had become, thinking about whether they would ever be safe again. The galaxy entered a new age, an age of peace maintained by threat. Trade continued. Diplomacy continued. Life continued. But everything was different now. Species were careful around humans, respectful, afraid. Some humans liked this, liked being feared, liked being strong. Others missed the old days when humanity was trying to be good, when they believed kindness could win, when they thought the galaxy could be better. But both groups agreed on one thing. Haven Station could never happen again. Whatever price humanity paid for strength was worth paying if it meant protecting their people. That was the one lesson everyone accepted. 20 years later, the generation that remembered the war was getting older. New generations grew up in the new order. They learned about Haven Station in school, read about the Thane War in books. But they did not live through it, could not really understand it. Admiral Daeho retired. He spent his days at the memorial, talking to visitors, answering questions, making sure people remembered. He was an old man now, gray hair, tired eyes, carrying the weight of billions of deaths. Young people asked him if he regretted anything. He always gave the same answer. I regret that it was necessary, but I do not regret doing what was necessary. The Thane left us no choice. We protected our species. I would do it again. Jiwoo was older too. She still worked on the Historical Accountability Project, still told her story to anyone who would listen, still made sure that Min-ah and all the other victims were not forgotten. She had never remarried, never had more children. Her life was devoted to memory and warning. Hyun-woo was a general now, still teaching, still preparing the next generation. He showed them the Thane pilot's data pad, the family photos, the children who lost their parent. He wanted his students to understand that enemies were people too. That war had costs beyond just statistics. Sir, if the Thane were people, why did we kill them all? A student asked. Because they killed all of Haven Station. Because they showed us that some threats cannot be reasoned with. Because sometimes the only way to protect civilization is to remove those who reject it completely. He paused. But that does not mean it was easy. It does not mean it was simple. And it does not mean we should ever forget the cost. Young-soo was still writing, still documenting. He had written 12 books now, all about the war and its aftermath, about how humanity changed, about how the galaxy changed, about the price of safety and the cost of strength. His final book was called The Question Without Answer. It explored the central problem.